This video talks about the subject and assessment structure for 31265 Communications for IT Professionals. Basically, we're running through the subject outline very quickly. But you should definitely read your subject outline, and we'll talk about how to do that shortly. The subject coordinator is George Foylecht. His phone number is there, and this is all written on the subject outline. For help with the subject, use the discussion boards on UTS Online. Don't send emails asking questions about assignments. That's really not the sensible way to go for 450 students, which is the number of students in this class. It's much better if you ask your question on the discussion boards. You'll receive a response fairly quickly, and then everybody else will be able to look at the discussion board and see what the response was. Because usually if you have that question, there's probably at least 20 other people who have the same question and haven't yet asked it. So please use the discussion boards on UTS Online. Alright, so this subject is a little bit different to some of the other subjects. We only have a lecture in week 1, as well as a 3-hour workshop. And then weeks 2 to 11, we have just one 3-hour workshop. So that's an introductory lecture in week 1 and a workshop, and then workshops in weeks 2 to 11. So there's quite a lot that goes on in week 1, but it does calm down in week 2 and onwards. Now, these two documents, the subject outline and the assignment sheet, are essential for you to understand the subject. You need to read both of them, not in the way where you just kind of glance over them, but especially for the assignment sheet, carefully read through all the requirements and don't guess. Things happen in these large subjects. Sometimes rumors go around about when the assignments are due, and sometimes those rumors can be completely wrong. The other thing that happens is people say, oh, you don't need to write that many words, or you don't need to do this, you just do this instead. Those rumors are often also incorrect. So it's important to read what's on the assignment sheet and what's on the subject outline, because those are the authoritative documents, and we will stick to those documents when we're working out whether you've handed something in on time, for instance, or something else. All right, so the assessments. There are 4 assessments. The first assessment is professional engagement with learning. This is based on the quality of your spoken and written participation in class. It's assessed weekly in your workshops throughout semester, and there will be homework and online activities as well. So this is a general assessment about whether you engage with your learning in class, and it happens right throughout the semester, so it's not something that you do on a particular day, or it's not due on a particular day. It keeps on going right to the end. Assessment 2 is the first assessment you'll need to think about. Check your assignment sheet for the due date for this assignment. What do you need to do? You need to choose a topic question, do some research to find some good quality research articles on this topic, and we'll teach you how to do that. Evaluate the quality of the articles, and we have a session on evaluation. And then write up a report on whether you think the articles are good quality or not. So you find 4 research articles, and you choose 2 of those articles to be evaluated. This is an individual assignment, and you should focus on this individually. Now, choose a topic question. What does that mean? So, for assignment 2 and 4, you'll need to identify an IT issue or topic with ethical and/or social dimensions. So this is not just for assignment 2, it's also for assignment 4. So take a moment to think about what kind of questions or issues might be appropriate. Some things that people focus on quite a lot are issues such as Bitcoin, for instance, new types of currencies that are based in in developments in cryptography, copyright, privacy, women in IT, women in IT. That's a big issue that a lot of people don't focus on enough. Games and violence, gun violence, for instance. Gaming addiction or internet addiction is another big issue. Mobile devices and sleep patterns is becoming quite a big health issue. So I think you can see there's quite a number of IT issues out there that you can look at. So I'd encourage you to try and find an issue that is original. Most students think that privacy or piracy is something that is really interesting. But I have to say we receive about 100 to 200 assignments every year on either piracy or privacy. And that's not the subject that will make you stand out. If you focus on a subject that is original and interesting, you'll do a better assignment, in my opinion. All right, so this is called Information Search and Evaluation for assignment 2. Check when it's due. It's going to be the first assignment that's due on a particular date for this subject. It's not as an assignment where you answer the question. You don't answer the question. Instead, you do some research, you find some good research articles, and you evaluate the quality of those articles. That's really important to building a strong, well-sourced academic argument. You must use research articles to support your argument. It's not just your opinion, it's research that's backed up by evidence. So that's different to, say, what you might read in the newspaper, where it's an opinion of someone. After you've done assignment 2, at the end of semester, you will answer the question. So you use the topic question from assignment 2 and you write a report that argues your particular point of view. So that's where you need to bring it all together. You need to get a lot more research and write a strongly argued report that has evidence for each of the points of view. There's going to be quite a lot of detail about the report format. There's a draft. This is an individual assignment, and you must pass. If you do not pass the final assignment, you will receive an X grade, which is a fail for this subject. So you do need to pass. Why am I making sure that every student passes this assignment? Well, this is a fundamental skill, writing a research report, and we can't really have students graduating the degree without being able to write a research report. It's also essential for many of the subjects that follow this subject throughout your degree. If you can't complete this research report, you won't be able to complete a lot of the other subjects, and that's, I think, essential. So make sure that you focus on this research report. You complete a draft. If you complete a draft, usually you'll be able to complete the research report. So make sure you do that. So assignment 2 and assignment 4 go together. The other assignment is assignment 3, which is the careers project. Now this is a group assignment. Teams of 3 to 4 students get together. They investigate an IT career, and then they interview a person working in IT. You present your findings to your particular workshop as a 20-minute presentation, and you create a vodcast or an audio slideshow. So that's a very different style of assessment. Check out all the information in the assignment sheet. There's lots of details there about what you need to do. There's, I think, 3 pages on what you need to do. It's very important that you read that carefully, and we'll be setting you up into groups early on in the semester. And there's also details about working in groups. Group projects can be difficult, but they're also essential for an IT professional. You need to work in groups in the profession, so you need to do assignments in groups and learn skills about working in groups early on in your career. So here's how this all fits together. You have 11 weeks of actual workshops. Assignment 2 pretty much starts now, and you have up until the assessment due date, which at the moment is week 4. Assessment 1 continues all the way through to week 11. You take your topic question and you pass it on to assignment 4, which is the final, is due in the week 11. But you also do assignment 3. Now, you can see presentations will happen over weeks 6 to 10. You'll be scheduled a particular date, and you'll need to do your presentation on that date. Some may be scheduled earlier and some can be later. If you're scheduled earlier, that's kind of good, because then you get to focus on completing assignment 4. Now, in assignment 4, you need to carefully read your subject outline about what you need to do. At particular weeks, you need to have done research, drafted your main points, have a 1,000-word draft complete in week 10, and a final draft for proofreading in week 11. So that's something you need to keep an eye on and actually complete in advance of your workshop. We've talked about that. Now, for assessment 4, you'll need to discuss research about the issue you choose, and because of this, I'll be running several surveys. I'll be sending questions that you provide to the entire cohort of CITP. So that's 450 students will get your questionnaire, and they'll answer your questions and you'll get some results. That means you'll have some opinions of your fellow students to quote in your assignment. Now, obviously we can't have 10 questions from every student, otherwise we'd have 4,500 questions. I will be being very selective about the questions that I include on the survey. So take a moment to think about what kind of questions you might like to ask in a survey. Obviously they have to have clear answers, so you have to be able to choose an answer. You can't ask a question where people write some text answer out. You need to say questions like, how likely are you to be happy with this situation, for instance? And that would be a question, very likely, not very likely. And you choose between a set of answers. So here's a couple of examples. Do you think people should have the right to have personal information about them removed from search engines? And in that case, 43 said yes, and 6 said no. And so there was a clear understanding from the student cohort that people should have the right to have personal information about them removed from search engines. Now, here's a similar type of question. Do you know someone who would like some personal information about them that is on the internet to be removed? And the answers were, there is some information about me online that I wish could be removed. There is some information about someone I know, or no, neither myself or anyone I know has information online that they would like removed. So you can see there was a pretty even split. The top two here seem to be 27 versus 22. So there's probably more people that wish there was something on the internet that was removed. Finally, do you think social media is too influential in your daily life? I wish social media was more influential in my life. Not many people said that at all. Most people said social media has about the right influence in my life, but many of you said it has too much influence in my life. So that's an interesting situation. All right, so here is a list of a few things you can do to get ready for CITP and to help you learn during the subject. So the first thing you can do is download the assignment sheet and read it really carefully. Know it backwards. Know exactly what you need to do, especially for assignment 3, because that's a complicated assignment. Secondly, get to know the journal databases. We'll talk about that later. But they're available through the library website, and you'll just by going to the library website and looking up IT databases, you'll start to get some sources for your assignments. If you have questions, you can ask your workshop tutors, who you'll meet this week. Get used to UTS Online and maybe post a question on the discussion board so that you're ready to ask questions there. You can also use student consultations. If you have troubles with language, Helps is a service that is available for you to use to improve your language skills and to cope with difficulties with language. Similarly, UPass Write is another service, peer-assisted study success. So that's where your peers, students from usually third year rather than first year, but people who've completed CITP, help you to study for CITP and to improve your outcomes. All right, thank you very much.